Hi there, weavers. Welcome back. This is Grace with Tangled Webs Weaving, and today I'm starting a new project, which is the Falling Leaves pattern from Handwoven Magazine, and it's the fall edition of 2025. Now, I say I'm going to be weaving that pattern, but I'm not really. I kind of am. So the pattern was woven by my friend Jill. When she wove it, there was a part of the pattern that neither one of us thought was correct. And I believe it is correct. It is totally correct in the magazine and in the pattern, but it almost looks like an error, like a mispick or something. Neither one of us really cared for it. So I kind of played around with it, and I came up with a version that did a little bit different treadling, and I kind of got rid of this, what appeared to be like a double pick or something. So the thing is, I looked at the pattern and I noticed the resources from the article, and it references that it's based off of a 10 shaft pattern on handweaving.net, and it gave the number. And I'm like, well, I have a 10 shaft loom now, right? So I went on handweaving.net, looked at it. It doesn't have this weird pick in it that caused the problem. So I redesigned the whole, well, I can't say I redesigned the whole thing. I put the color sequence from the Handwoven Magazine pattern into the 10 shaft draft off of handweaving.net, and I came up with something I really like. Just one problem. Because of how wide I want it to be, and that I already wound the warp, and the number of shafts it added, like 4 threads per section, and it would have made it too wide, so I deleted 2 repeats, and so that, but then it was a little bit too narrow, and so then I added this and that. Oh my gosh. Well, I ended up having to wind 2 additional threads per repeat of 4 of the colors, and removing 7 threads of 2 of the repeats out of one color that's repeated a couple times. So I had to wind some more warp, and I'm gonna have to thread that in and intersperse it, as it were. So I thought what the easiest way to do that would be to thread my loom front to back. Now, you all know that I am a back to front girl, but what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do it front to back, completely front to back. Yeah. So I have the warp, oops, see if I can touch down here. I have my warp on my leaf sticks, and I'm going to take my clips off. I am going to go ahead and cut my loop, slay the reed, 1 per dent, and then I will thread my heddles, tie onto the back beam. I think I'm actually going to lash onto the back beam, and then I am going to wind it on. So let's go ahead and get started. And I am not used to slaying this way, so bear with me. Let's see, this just feels wrong. So I can tell this is going to take a minute. I am not used to doing it this way. Now, this I just found them in the order that I'm going to need them, I think. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set this aside, skip 2 dents, and then I will come back when everything is slayed and I will slay the supplemental warp that I wound. Yeah, that will work. Now, with the cream, I actually have too many. I need to take 7 out of here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to count off the 7. People out there who normally warp front to back are probably just cringing at how I do this. I'm sure I'm not doing it very efficiently. But if I did front to back all the time, I would probably be a lot better at it. Okay, so this is one of the spots where I'm not going to do what I was doing, which was leaving 2 blank spots at the end of each color, because you'll remember I have 7 extra threads over here that I left unthreaded, and I'm short 2 threads in this section, and then I've got a double white section over here that I'll take 7 threads out of. But what I can do is I can take 2 threads out of this section that I didn't use and use them to fill in these 2 over here. Now, it looks a little scary having this cross over like this, but once I get this all slayed, I can take my leaf sticks out, and then everything will, and then when I wind on, everything will be in the proper order, because my my reed is acting as a rattle and keeping everything aligned where it should be on the beam. So now I can take those and put those down there, and they'll just drop off, and I'll save them for another project. Well, weavers, we have the warp on the loom, and you can see that I have started weaving the pattern. So this is, as a reminder, a 10 shaft pattern that has the color layout from the fall 2020 edition of Handwoven Magazine's Falling Leaves pattern. That is an 8 shaft pattern that was inspired by the 10 shaft pattern that I'm using. So I liked the 10 shaft pattern better than the 8 shaft, and I decided to go ahead and weave the 10 shaft pattern. I did some Italian hem stitching down at the beginning. I left enough for a 4-inch fringe, and we're going to weave the first item, which will be a table runner. This will also have matching placemats, so that that's why I put on an 8-yard warp. So let's go ahead and continue weaving. This is, let me get the number. So this pattern is off of handweaving.net. It is number 80332. So if you have a subscription to handweaving.net, you can get this weaving draft. It's a very easy draft to follow. And the treadling is very easy to remember. So I'm not using my treadle tracker, but I wanted to let you know that the software that I use for designing patterns and for doing my threading and treadle tracking is I Weave It on my iPad. This pattern is a 15 ends per inch and 15 picks per inch. So I don't have to, I don't have to bang it really hard to get that set. But I do need to pull it a little firm. So you can see why this pattern is called Falling Leaves, because it looks like falling leaves. And I wonder if I reversed my treadling, would the leaves fall the other way? I think that they would. Maybe. I'll have to give that a try in my software. I don't want to do it in my treadling because I don't want to have to unweave it. So we have another repeat done, and I'm going to advance my wire. The really nice thing about working with the 3-2 cotton, one of the nice things is the weaving goes super fast. Snag in my, I do, oh, I have a knot in my weft. So we will have to fix that. where's it going to end up? Right there in the middle. Okay. So and there I've done the sew again. I'm gonna try not to say so many times because I realize that I say it a lot in my videos. Where did my scissors go? There they are. We are going to take care of this knot. We don't want a knot to appear in the middle of our beautiful hand woven item. When you get to a knot, when I get to a knot, I figure out where it's going to land, and then I snip it out, and I've just got that little knot right there. And then I pull the yarn that is still on the bobbin. I pull it back so it overlaps an 1.5 inches or so. Now I'm going to take, if I can find my blunt tipped tapestry needle, I'm going to beat that in gently. And I like to do a split join. So rather than have these two overlap, especially because they are a larger grist of yarn, I don't really want that to overlap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split the plies so that the overlap ends up being the same ply as what is already there. So 2 ply. I'm using 8/2 cotton. No, I'm sorry, I'm using 3/2 cotton. So there's 2 plies of number 3 cotton. That is what the 3/2 means. Number 3 cotton means that it is a certain number of pounds per a certain number of yards. So, and I don't remember the math, but that's what the 3 means. So there are more so the different sizes of yarn, that first number, the 8 or the 3 or the 5, indicate how many, the size, it indicates the size of the single ply of yarn. And the greater the number, the smaller the size of that single ply of yarn. So if you have an 8/2 cotton versus a 3/2 cotton, the 8/2 is much smaller than the 3/2. And I actually did a video discussing the sizing of yarns, and cotton is different than wool, is different than silk, is different than linen. So they're all a little bit different, and because it's based on their density. If you'd like to take a look at that video, you're welcome to. It is, I'll put a link to it up in the upper, what is that? The upper, as you're looking at the screen, I think it's the upper right-hand corner. And I'll also put a link in the description down below. I've got that in now. So let's go ahead and see, that was a number 3. Yep, 3. 2. Oh, I don't have that threaded properly. Let's get that back. So you might notice I'm using my end feed shuttle, and I did a video recently on end feed shuttles and how they differ from boat shuttles. So I'll put a link to that video also if you haven't seen it. But they are different, and they tend to make really nice selvages. All right, that's 3, 2. Going to double check that I did this correctly. That's 1. Yes, okay. Sometimes I get talking and I lose concentration of what I'm doing. I'm just going to cut this something to get right. Okay. 2. Okay. I just counted on my head. All right, so that is another repeat. So as you can see, it goes pretty quick. Each repeat is 36, yes, 36 picks. And there is, each repeat is 36 picks, which would be about 1 1/4 inches. So it's gonna go pretty fast. So we'll just keep going on. And I'm almost ready for a new pern. Okay, and that's the end. And I have lost bobbin chicken. So I need to have 6 times the width of my project to do my hem stitching, which I don't have. And even if I take out the 2 picks of plain weave, that's not going to give me enough. So I need to see if I have some more black sitting around here. Oh, this is not good. I have little bits and bobs of black. So I've got like 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is not gonna work. Okay, let's see if I can find a longer piece. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to take out 3 or 4 picks at least of my pattern weft, and I don't want to do that. So let's see if I can find some more yarn. This is extremely unorthodox, but you all know I am all about solving problems. So I don't have any more black 3/2 mercerized cotton. I just don't. But what I do have is I have some floating selvages. Now, my thought is, what if I can do two things. I can cut this floating selvage down here so that it includes the fringe, unwind from the back of the warp beam and use it as an extension of my weft yarn. The other thing that I could possibly do is cut that floating selvage off the back beam at the very end and pull it through and use it and just start using it as weft yarn right here. And honestly, I think that that's going to be my best bet because it's all in. I will tuck my tail, and actually I'm going to lay in a third pick here, and actually I got this pick, I got these two picks backwards, so I'm going to do that. Let's do that. All right, so we're going to take this out. And I think that will solve all my problems. And it's easier to get this through here if I can do it on a bobbin or do it on a shuttle. So, and the reason I wanted to reverse these plain weave picks is because this float right here would extend one more. I wanted the weft to go over this float and tie it down, and it wasn't doing that by using my left hand plain weave treadle, and so I just wanted to switch them around. So I'm going to put that in there, and now I'm going to tuck this tail. And again, I'm going to do a split ply tuck because, especially with this thick yarn, it just looks nicer. All right. Now, I'm going to wind this forward so that I can get to the end of my warp and pull this floating selvage out. So let me see if I can, I'm gonna bring the camera down so you can watch what I'm doing. Okay, so let's wind this forward. I just want to get to the point where I can cut my weft or my warp yarn. Okay, so that's all the farther I need to go. I can see this floating selvage, which is right there. I'm just going to follow it around. Separator paper. Okay, so I'm just going to cut that floating selvage. Put that back there. I'm going to pull that through, and that should be plenty. Now I'm going to, sorry for the noise, wind this back onto the back beam. And I'm not going to worry about, oh, I guess the paper got in there. That's fine. I'm not going to worry about the tension because all I'm doing is hem stitching at this point. So let's see what I got. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be close. So I've got like 5 picks or 5 widths. It should be enough. Based on the hem stitching that I did before, it takes about 5 widths, and I'm gonna fix that paper because that tension is just gonna bug me. So now I can work on my hem stitching. So problem solved. There are no problems that we cannot solve. Sometimes the problem solving step includes ordering more yarn, but I really don't want to do that. I want to get this off the loom so I can start my next project. And ordering more yarn would have entailed waiting a week, which I'm not going to do. So this will work just fine. So I have one at Yarn Chicken with 6 inches to spare. Alrighty, weavers, we have the final product from our weaving project. I have 5 placemats and 1 table runner. Both items are 14 inches wide, and the placemats are, see if I can grab one here, with the 1.5 inch fringe on either side. Oh, that's the back. Actually, they can go either way. They are reversible. The back, what I consider the back, is a more muted look. The side that was woven up is a brighter look. However, the measurements are the same either way. They're 14 inches wide, and with the 1.5 inch fringe, they're about 18.5 inches long. So a nice generous placing for all of your plates, maybe a charger if you're using this during the holidays, and all the forks and knives that you want to put on the table, plus a glass and a wine glass and a water glass and whatever you want to do. I really like the way these turned out with having the reverse treadling. As comparison, here is the runner. So the runner, as you can see, all of the leaves are pointing in the same direction. With the placemats, you can see the leaves are reversing. So they reverse, and then here you've got the little diamond where it reverses, and then you have another little diamond here. So the difference, I think, is a nice contrast, but they coordinate completely. Now with the runner, that ended up being about 71 inches long with the fringe. I did a, I think I did a 3-inch fringe on this one. I would have liked it a little bit longer, but given that I ran out of the black, and that would have probably meant only getting 4 placemats, I probably should have woven this a little bit longer. Bad planning on my part. Next time I will check my math as far as the weft calculations that I need for a project like this. With the runner, at the midpoint, I reversed. You can see the little diamond right there. So at the midpoint, I reversed the treadling so that the leaves are pointing one way up here, and then at the midpoint, they turn and they point the other way. So when this is laid flat, they're pointing opposite directions. Just a nice little touch. Again, this can be reversed if you want a more muted look. It's a little bit darker on the other side. More of the black shows through on the other side. This is the side that was woven up. We have the nice hem stitching, the Italian hem stitching, which turned out really nice looking, and that's going to make a strong hem on it so that this can be laundered. I would recommend to whoever purchases these items that they hand wash them. They can be laundered. I laundered this in my washing machine on gentle and put it through a low temperature drying session and then ironed it. I don't know if future washings will do this, but I got a lot of lint off of this. So just one thing to keep in mind, if you hand wash it, you probably won't have that as much. Also, with this fringe, the more you machine wash it, kind of the rattier it's going to get, and it's going to need to be trimmed up eventually. So the fringe will get a little bit shorter and shorter. I wanted to show this to you though on the table. Here it is on the table. As you can see, it barely hangs over the end, but it's a nice width. And here we have the placemats. They're a nice generous size, but they don't overwhelm the table and they don't crowd the person next to you. So I hope you liked watching me weave these placemats and table runner. If you did, give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks and happy weaving!